Good morning. All right, we'll give 1 second for people to settle down and find a spot where they can enjoy Sunday morning service. Okay. Thank you for that beautiful prelude, Alicia. So before we get started this morning, a couple of housekeeping announcements. Now would be a great time to silence your phones and whatever else you have that you might want to turn off. Our exits, in the event, the unlikely event that we need to exit quickly, the front door where you came in, straight down the hall, or this back door to the patio is open. Melanie's going to check because I just realized that's one of the service leader's responsibilities, and I didn't do it. Okay. There's also one behind me, which I will open. You might trip over something, so these are more accessible anyway. Hopefully we don't need that. And thanks to everyone that decided to stay home because they didn't feel well and is watching on Zoom or YouTube. We appreciate that. So before we get started with the official service, we take a moment for our committee chairs or anyone with something exciting to share with the congregation that pertains to our congregational life. Please come up to the microphone. And if you're unable to, wave at me and I'll bring it to you.
Hi, everyone. Nope. Hello. Oh, there we go. Hello. Hi, everyone. Tay with RE. So just wanted to announce that our new hire, Madison, is here today. She's in the back waving. So we're really excited to have her, but if anyone wants to come after service to say hello or introduce yourself, we'll be in the back like usual. We do have our fidget toys over by the kitchen, as well as the sign-up sheet for the summer. We already had 3 amazing people sign up. But if anyone wants to help sign up and teach a lesson or a workshop or a craft during the summer, or some days we just need volunteers, the entire chart is over there with a pin, so you can sign up after service. Thank you.
Morning. So there is a little confusion. There are now two separate women's groups. Okay, there's a women's social group, which is for our potlucks and hangout time, and now there's a new women's support group, which I think Margie is talking about. Okay. Yes, I have no idea what it's about. So anyway, the women's social group, and we're going to have to probably think of a different name for these things because it's getting confusing, will be the 27th of June, because the first Friday where we normally meet is July 4th, and I don't think we're going to want to come here. So the 27th of June will be our social group. Also, I have 3 dozen eggs for sale for a sack.
So as far as the women's support group goes, that is the title. It's the women's group and then the women's support group. The support group is more just for, we won't be doing activities or other than getting together and talking. And it will be a controlled thing where you'll have a time to talk uninterrupted, with a chance to get feedback if you do want feedback. We've been meeting, but we're going to start meeting here, and everyone who is a woman or identifies as a woman is welcome to come if you've got something you want to share. It's potluck. It'll be tomorrow evening here at 6:30. For new folks, if you have never been to a coffee, cake, and chat, I'm going to have one next Sunday after services. I think we're doing it down in the teen room because the conference room's taken by somebody else. Doesn't matter. And we get together, get to know each other a little more, introduce ourselves, learn a little bit more about the congregation and about Unitarian Universalism, and it is a fun time. So if you're brand new and you haven't been to one, please join us.
Hi, I'm Janet for co-chair of programs. So first of all, next Sunday is Father's Day. We will be celebrating in part with a slideshow honoring our fathers and the father figures in our lives. So just like we did last year, actually. So if you have a photo you want to share, please send it to that email address, admin@universityuus.org, and it's going to be in the notable news. It's already in the notable news. And the deadline is Tuesday, June 10th. So if you sent something in last year, all you have to do is let Colleen know at that email address, and we can run it again. So second announcement, New Inquiring Minds will be meeting after the service in the conference room next week, and our topic will be music and meaning. So we'll be looking at the role that music plays in our life, what music gives us, how it touches us, and we might even be looking at how music shapes us and our identities.
I'm Melanie on, I think it's behalf of the board, as opposed to the finance team. But either way, we have an opportunity for generous giving to help with the beautification of our sanctuary. In the, if you would like to help in the purchasing of the new chairs that have been ordered, there's a QR code that will take you to the page. And you can put in the quantity. They're $75 each. And then put in your payment information. Or you can just write a check and put chairs on there. Yes, as Paula just said, all contributions are gratefully received. We also take cash, but we do ask that you put it separate, like in an envelope with the word chairs on it. And if you want credit in our computer system, put your name on it. If you don't, then don't worry about it. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask.
Hi there. So, Jill, Vita, I understand that for the auction, you and Larry are hosting a murder mystery dinner. Is that right?
Woohoo!
Woohoo! All right. Are there any spaces left? 6 spaces left from and this
When
is
is
for the
it?
auction. It is. There we go. June 28th, 7 p.m. here in the sanctuary, not at their house. So don't go there. And if you would like to purchase a seat on that and come and join us for the murder mystery dinner, it'll be $40. You can see me, and we'll take care of that. Thank you.
I hear it's a lot of fun every year.
Ooh. Hi, David McElroy. Next Monday is the men's support group meeting here at UUF. It's a potluck. Bring your own for men or people. I never can say this. Male identified. Thank you. I don't know why I can't say that. Anyway, I would love for you to join us. Also, the men's group that is here today, I've volunteered us to sign up for coffee from the 15th on, and I'm going to do the 15th, I know, but if you, the men that are in my men's group, if you wouldn't mind filling out, if you haven't already, for the coffee for the rest of the month. We'd appreciate that, because I don't want to have to do it every week. Thanks.
Good morning, Jill with Hospitality. Is this on? Yes, it's still on. Just a reminder to everybody that today is our summer picnic potluck, our indoor summer picnic potluck. And everybody is welcome. We have plenty of food. So if you're a visitor, please come. If you just completely forgot it was potluck, please come. There's plenty, just to let you know. Oh, and as far as helpers, so there'll be a sign-up sheet right out on the outside counter that you can sign your name. We just like to know who to expect and who's working so that we can also have some help in there. So thank you in advance. We will need help. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you. So after service, I'll actually make another announcement, but we will need help in the main sanctuary for setting up our tables.
Yeah.
So if a couple of men can help with that, that would be grateful. Okay?
We're just strong people.
Yep, strong
Yeah.
people, strong women.
I see
Yeah.
the usual helpers here, so they know what to do. All right, thank you, everyone. I can't think of anything they left out, so let's take just a quiet moment before we start the service. My opening words this morning are a gift from Gwen Matthews. You contain the holy. Whoever you are, wherever you are from, whomever you love, whatever it is you have done, you are welcome here. You are welcome to this time, this space, this moment that we carve out of often busy and chaotic weeks. You are welcome to this time for collective breaths, for words, for music, for lighting candles, and for us to simply exist here together. And you are invited into worship this morning with these words from Ta-Nehisi Coates. I believed, and still do, that our bodies are ourselves, that my soul is the voltage conducted through neurons and nerves, and that my spirit is my flesh. Our bodies are ourselves. My soul is the voltage connected through neurons and nerves. My spirit is my flesh. Wow, okay. Yes to all of that. The essence that is you, that spark of life, is in your body, is of your body, and it is, you are, divine. In other words, you contain the holy within you right now. And now I invite you to take a breath as we enter into this time of worship in body, mind, and spirit. And now song. As Anne comes in up to lead us in hymn number 131, for those of you that like to read the music, and please stand in body or spirit as you're willing and able.
So before we get started, and the second verse is about if you can't sing like angels. You don't have to sing like an angel to be part of this congregation. So sing out loud and proud, no matter whether you think you sound like an angel or not. Love will guide us, peace has dried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has dried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
That was quite good. Our chalice lighter this morning, it must be Chase. Chase is 15 years old, and he uses he, him pronouns, and he is very excited that tomorrow is his birthday. Birthday! Woohoo! So that means he'll be 16? He'll be 15 tomorrow. Well, I wasn't sure, little semantics there, okay. Happy birthday, Chase. I know that you'll have a wonderful time. So join me in these words. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. And our affirmation of this congregation, love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. Hey, well, welcome again this morning. You found the right place if you're at the University Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. That's where you intended to be. Good job. So we're an eclectic congregation with a lot of wonderful people that everybody that comes in affects our tapestry in some different way. That's how I think of it. The different threads every week is something different because of the people that are here, the speakers that we invite, and the way they present. But what is not different is our Unitarian Universalist values and principles that guide us always. So all of our talks will speak to that, and we try to address it in different ways because everybody learns differently. So come several times and figure out if you could be a part of this congregation and what you might have to give too, just in your own being. And let's take a moment to wave to our lovely friends. We thank to Anita and everybody else that's online this morning. And our former online leader, Happy, is in the room. For all of us that said hi to Happy all these years, yay, Happy, thank you. So we honor that. We know people can't always make it here, and I'm just so glad that we can keep that going. Another important part of our congregation is our sharing of joys and concerns with each other. We offer support groups for different topics where you can dig a little bit deeper, but if there's something that's really touched your heart this week, or in good or bad, it'll be shared as a joy and hopefully halved if it's a concern. So please come forward or raise your hand, and Patrick is coming to move it to the center so that we can see you online. Thank you. Always forget that part. And if you'd like to drop a stone in.
I miss my cousin Alex, and I can see her over the summer. Maybe.
Hi, my name is Chloe McElroy. I use she, her pronouns. I am excited because I just got a job as a dresser at Epic Universe, which is the new Universal theme park, for whoever didn't know.
Chase will get a kick out of this. I got new shoes!
So my joy, of course, is tomorrow's Chase's birthday. So he'll be 15, not 16. Don't rush me. Thank you. And I do have a concern, though. A good friend of mine, Angelique, she's comes here frequently. She had surgery last week. I brought her. Well, I didn't bring her food because I didn't have time to cook, but I did order her food. Joey brought her some food. So if anybody would like to get with me so we can coordinate getting her some meals, let me know. Thank you.
My joy was that the party yesterday, the Chasers party yesterday was really fun.
Hi, I've just been remembering friends and members that have passed on, and I just want to offer them a virtual toast because I miss some of them a lot.
Hello, my name is John Amin, and I want to thank Martha for instigating a service auction, which we held yesterday, and she and Happy, my wife Happy, sponsored it. It was a newlywed game where I was the Bob Eubanks character, so I got to play that role. It was a lot of fun, and we have to congratulate Janet and Gary Levins, who really dominated this game. So congrats to them. It was really a lot of fun, and hope more service auctions like that. And maybe next time we'll have an audience. How's that?
Hi, David McElroy. Yes, I was part of the oldie-wed game with Marilyn and I. We've been together for a long time and didn't know the answers. I think we had... We were robbed. Oh, Marilyn says. Okay. Chloe got up last week and told you about a surgery I had on May 28th. It's called ablation. They go up into your heart and shock it, so it'll stay nice and neat. It didn't work, so I have to go see a doctor again and do. I'm fine. I mean, I'm alive and everything. That's the good part. But I have to do some other stuff, and I hadn't shared it before because I thought, hey, it's going to work, and I can come up and tell everybody. But anyway, so any good thoughts, send them my way. Thank you.
So my joy is in the room today, and I'm going to pass the microphone to Evelyn. Evelyn had a big birthday yesterday. So, Evelyn, would you like to say a few words?
Anne is always a joy, and she saw to it, I'm sure, that I got a beautiful bouquet of flowers from all of you yesterday. And I will read you what's going on here, where this weekend was an unbelievable joy. And it is from my granddaughter, who says, "Happy 90th birthday, Pev. What a monumental birthday," naturally. And I'm excited that I was able to give you, and this is right afterwards, a great-granddaughter as a birthday gift. How's that? I got so many greetings, and my son, who of course is with me now and is my total chauffeur, shopper, house repair, cook, and he is amazing and made the most beautiful meal and cake. And he's made a cake for you guys today, so we brought. So, anyway, everything is a joy because, let's face it, the country isn't, and so it was nice to have a weekend like that. Thank you.
I have to agree with Evelyn. You have to find your joys now where you can find them. And, so I was also at the Newlywed Game, and oh my gosh, we found out things about Gary and Janet. It's already been said how much fun it was, and I also have to say, Martha says, oh, I don't cook very much. She put out a 70s spread, and you don't think of 70s as being the acme of American cooking or anything. She can cook. And did you bring that pretzel salad?
No, I kept that for myself. Now she's mad at me. It didn't look good this morning.
Well, I don't know if you know, but we had a Newlywed Game. Anyway, yeah, thank you so much, Martha. You're a great host. And John Amin, a fantastic game show host. Anyway, I have a second joy, and that is that I severely injured my knee on a very difficult hike, which I fell on last summer. And it's been touch and go since then. I kept getting better, re-injuring it, and finally decided to stop running completely until I was like really better. I went back to physical therapy last month, and yesterday we hiked 6 miles on the Florida Trail, and my knee was perfect. It was like perfect. So I'm getting there.
Well, apparently in this congregation, June is a birthday month. I had my 79th birthday on Wednesday. I must admit, it's a personal best for me.
Hi, Alyssa. So I got to go to Magenta's Menagerie last night, and it was a super fun show. One of my best friends got to come, and she's one of those people that has a little bit of anxiety about going new places, so really exciting that she was able to take that plunge and go with us. I'd like to think she enjoyed it a lot. And today I am, after service, going to Disney with an old friend from college I haven't seen in a couple years, so super exciting.
Good morning, Kelly Buchanan. I have a joy. My niece, Diana niece, is here visiting from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. She's visiting myself and Miak and her grandmother, which is my mother. So just that's my joy that she's here visiting with us. She also graduated last night with her bachelor's in environmental science. And so if you have any tips about the environmental science field, raise your hand, Diana. I'm sure she'd appreciate it. But thank you.
Hi, Joey Cole. I have three. First of all, today is Jade's birthday. She's 18 today. I can't believe it. Jade is my adopted granddaughter, who I was her backup grandma from here when her grandma asked me to be her backup grandma. So I've been serving in that role since she was 5. So that's pretty exciting. And the second thing is congratulations to all the graduates, high school and college, who graduated just recently. There were a lot of them from here, and I'm just so thrilled to see the kids as they grow up and go off like that. That's wonderful. And the final thing is that next Saturday, Joe and I will have been married 18 years. We've been together a lot longer than that, though.
Wow, mostly wonderful things this morning. Let's take just a moment to just reflect on all that was shared and all that might still be in your heart and the hearts of others. Thank you. Tay Barton, come on down for Time for All Ages.
Hi, everyone. If you agree to help me with Time for All Ages before service, you are currently in possession of 2 beaded friendship bracelets. What I would like all my volunteers to do right now is find someone in the congregation who does not have a friendship bracelet and give one of yours away. Whether you love her, hate her, support her, or apathetic towards her, one of the coolest things I have personally seen is Taylor Swift fans creating a community by trading friendship bracelets at her Eras tour. My friends and I traveled from different states and different countries just to go see her concert. Stayed up the night before to make bags of bracelets so we can trade them with thousands of other fans from all over the world who also made bags full of bracelets. The bracelets didn't just stop with the fans at the concert, though. We saw workers, vendors, and strangers all through Atlanta wearing bracelets made by fans. This wonderful tradition was sparked by a line in her song, "You're on your own, kid." But I think these bracelets prove exactly the opposite. If you have or are wearing a friendship bracelet, please raise it up. If the bracelet doesn't fit, please just hold it up. Please look around and see all of them around us. Many of us are now wearing friendship bracelets that give us a visible and tangible, you can put them down, I'm so sorry. We are now wearing friendship bracelets that give us a visible and tangible symbol of the community we have within each other. Let them serve to remind us that we are never alone. As we verbally share our joys and concerns, I hope your new brightly colored bracelet brings you joy when you look at it. And you remember that at least 16 other people, and I had aimed for more but ran out of beads, have a similar bracelet to you that you can go to for support whenever it feels like something is too much to burden or bear alone. Thank you.
Thank you. That was really nice. Well, now it's time for our interlude and offering. The choir is going to sing this morning. And I wanted to let you know that your contributions are a tangible commitment to the mission and vision of this fellowship. Each time you give, you renew this commitment, and as a result, your support is entwined with all that we believe, all that we do here together. That's its own special gift. Let's hope that's one dream we can make a reality. And I forgot to mention that our Share the Plate, every week, 40% of our non-designated offering is shared with a local organization. Now, for the next few months, it's a Hope Community Center out of Apopka. It's been working for over 50 years with our migrant and immigrant community. And there, I believe his title is Executive Director, Felipe. Not going to even try his last name. I can spell it, Suzela Villette. Anyway, he will be here on June 22nd. So if you have any questions and thoughts about Hope Community Center from Apopka, he will be here to answer them. All right, let's sing our children out. We love you and bless you and send you on your way. We love you and bless you today and every day. Thank you. It's so nice when Alicia's here, we can all be in the same key. And other reasons too, but that one's a particular favorite. Okay, our speaker this morning is Dr. Asim Jani, M.P.H, FACP. Might as well get that. He's a clinician educator, infectious disease consultant, and public health physician for the last 30 years, during which time he has worked both in healthcare and public health at all levels, local, state, federal, and global, including a decade at the CDC. He began his CDC career as an epidemic intelligence service officer in 2003 and served as a commissioned medical officer in the U.S. Public Health Service, achieving the rank of captain. He obtained his degrees as well as his ID fellowship training right here in Florida at the University of South Florida, Morsani Colleges of Medicine and Public Health. He's held academic teaching appointments and continues to engage as a community health leader in Central Florida, focused on health equity, population health, community health education, and social medicine. So let us hear what he is going to share with us, Healthy Bodies, Healthy Democracy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martha. And Patrick, am I coming across sound-wise? Yeah, got the lapel mic here. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Really means a lot. I always tell people when I give talks, not for the audience to clap before the speaker starts, because it's maybe false advertising, so we're not sure. Okay. So 3 things before I actually begin this, all right? I'm going to set myself on a timer so we are able to keep you on track. So first thing is, I want to, in this day and age of these devices, iPhones, this is an eye presentation. An eye presentation is a presentation in which the speaker hopefully informs you of something, inspires you to do something, and invites you to engage. All right? So that's what the purpose of this talk is. Second, I need, in the spirit of Unitarian Universalism, I feel a kinship already, but I want to make this a little more specific. How many in the audience have ever worked in healthcare or do currently work in healthcare or public health? Wonderful. So kinship, all right? The third thing that I wanted to ask is how many people are in law enforcement or who were had the ability to give tickets? Okay. So the reason I ask for the law enforcement colleagues is that this talk may at times feel like I'm speeding on I-4 Express, and I'm not, okay? What it's more analogous to is an Olympic hurdles race, where during the talk you're going to see slides that are just going to be there for a split second. I'm going to skip over them. And the reason is not only because of time, but I like to give talks in which the slides are made available to you afterwards in PDF, so you can study them and relax and read them. They're standalone, okay? So remember, no tickets, all right? All right. Now, it's rare that an opportunity is given to a speaker where they think they're giving new material, and sitting in the back there for the last 40 minutes, I gotta say, the talk's already been given. because the verses we sang is the core content of what I'm going to talk about. It's just repackaged into PowerPoint. But the core message is what we sang about love and the ability of love to transform us and our society. Number two, the experts are usually behind the podium, and here they're in the audience. Because what I experienced was the homage to fellowship, friendship, celebration, gratitude, peace, worship, social connection. Guess what? That is lifestyle medicine. That is health. And as a healthcare provider who spent 30 years in managing disease, which is the greatest irony, and all of my healthcare colleagues will realize that, we should be talking about something positive. Now, this is an infomercial on the first slide. Civic Saturdays. My wife and I, Smriti and I, started a Civic Saturday gathering, which I can tell you more about toward the end, if we have some time. But there's some sign-up sheets in the corner there in the back. If you find during the course of my conversation with you, and at the end, if you're interested in being part of Civic Saturdays in the future, sign up. No cost. Now, I went into medicine graduating from USF College of Medicine in 1987. That was a long time ago. And I had a lot of heroes along the way. One of them was Sir William Osler, who had this beautiful quote about the practice of medicine being an art. It is not a trade, it's a calling, it's not a business. I will have you know that, yes, we have a healthcare industry in this country, but the healthcare servants, the doctors, the nurses, the mid-levels, all of the people who work in healthcare, when they take the attitude that they're serving and they're doing it from a place of love, that's it. That's what it's all about. That's what it should be about. All right. Now, with that, let me give you the context, some current challenges that I think are important to recognize because it's a lead up to the main course in this talk. And it's not going to be all the whiz-bang slides and stuff, the pictures. It's going to be a story. It's going to be a story about a composite patient, a fictional patient whose name is Mirlande. But in order to understand Mirlande and what we can do with Mirlande, you need to have a little context. So let's go through the context fairly quickly. Back in the 19th century, when germs were not considered a thing, travesty to an infectious disease guy, we were still worried about clean water and sewers and drainage and things like that. And over the course of the last 200 years, we've made several advancements. Certainly, we've had vaccines and antibiotics and lifestyle-related changes that we're talking about now, and all of that. But we're headed towards trying to establish for us a culture of health. Because when you change the culture, whether it's a civic culture, a culture of health, any sort of culture, you really can change things and accelerate. So this is probably one of the most important slides that I'm going to show you today because it links health and social medicine and our democracy in a way that's very beautiful. Nationally, if you may not know, there is a conversation by experts in various fields around the concept of thriving. The idea that we should not be talking about the health of a population or public health. We should really talk about everyone getting a chance to thrive, to flourish. Not just be healthy and avoid disease. That's not health. That's disease avoidance. Health is thriving. And there are vital conditions, 7 of them, 6 around the periphery, that we all should have access to as human beings. All of us should have that. They're up there. I don't need to read them. They should be intuitive to you. But the 7th one, which is at the center, is belonging and civic muscle. And I'm going to try to pitch for you the argument that if we as citizens, as individuals, as citizens, as communities, don't focus in on the 7th one, but stay in the periphery, it'll be good for us as individuals, but it won't be good for the we, the collective us. So This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I'm not going to go through it, but just to tell you that many people used to think that if you start at the pyramid, which is at the bottom, you know, as long as you get these needs met, you go up the chain. If you're so fortunate, you can actually ultimately get a chance to actualize who you are, achieve your full potential. And that's what used to be considered the top of the pyramid. But what people don't know is that in the very last few years of Maslow, the psychologist who came up with this, he discovered something greater than self-actualization, which is self-transcendence. And self-transcendence is what this fellowship is all about. Self-transcendence is the idea that we are going to have a deep sense of meaning for why we're here, a greater purpose, and we're going to share and serve other people, including our climate, our world. So we're not going to be able to operate our spaceship Earth successfully, nor much longer unless we see it as a whole spaceship and our fate is common. It has to be everybody or nobody, all right? Now, this slide is a little busy, but I want to just show you that the US is an outlier. And this graphic essentially says that the lower this health system performance and the more money we spend, that's where we're at. And in fact, there's a reason for this. That's not what it should be, but there's a reason for this. It turns out that we spend about $4.5 trillion a year in this country on the national health expenditure. That's what we spend. 75% of it goes to hospitals and payers and insurance companies and physicians and tech and pharma to fix the problems when they're really advanced, and that too for a small segment of the population. Sadly, the part that we could actually invest in, which is disease prevention and health promotion, that gets a whopping 4%. That right there, this right here, is the equivalent, 208, roughly, you know, it's about $208 billion, roughly. That's a few military jets, perhaps. You know, not a lot of money, all right? So it turns out that that situation results in chronic diseases afflicting America. 4 in 10 individuals in this country have 2 or more chronic diseases. And so we're talking about things like diabetes and high blood pressure and heart disease and lots of other things. And it turns out that there are 4 risk factors, several, but 4 in particular, that are the bad actors: sedentary behavior, poor nutrition, tobacco use, and excessive alcohol use. Well, it turns out that if you look, there are something called the 4 horsemen of chronic diseases, which are the really bad ones: heart disease and cancer, dementia, neurodegenerative diseases, and type 2 diabetes. These 4 are literally killing us. They are disabling us. And it turns out that we have a way to deal with this in a way that we perhaps have not thought about. But the new science tells us that all of these conditions are essentially chronic inflammation. Acute inflammation is easy, by the way. When I cut my hand and it's bleeding and it gets red and swollen, I get antibiotics, I get a suture, and that acute inflammation is a way the body heals itself, and it gets better in hopefully a week. But chronic inflammation is the body not being able to stop the insult, the injury, and it just keeps going on. Well, it turns out that all of these inflammatory things are interconnected, but the one that really does it all is right here: insulin resistance. And Merlande, who I'm going to tell you about in a minute, has insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is reversible with lifestyle changes. That's the good news. Now, how many of you have ever interacted with the healthcare system? See, that was not a HIPAA question, right? So, and how many of you have experienced, I don't know, frustration? Okay. So there's a reason, and there's a frustration index. They should have this in every hospital and a doctor's office, right? It turns out there's a reason why we're frustrated. And being a proud member of the tribe of physicians, I believe, as a tribal member, I can authentically criticize my tribe. without getting into trouble. I earned that over 35 years. So there's several major problems with the healthcare system, and this is not a talk about what's wrong with the healthcare system in detail and how to fix it, okay? That's not where we're going with this. But these are some of the issues, and I need to give you the backdrop story for why we're in this mess. It turns out a big part of the mess is this. We have, in the United States, sadly, a healthcare system that is neither free nor universally accessed by everybody. And we're isolated in the world on this in terms of the green refers to all the countries that have some semblance of either a free or universal or both healthcare system. All right? Now, Bernie Sanders didn't put me here. I'm just telling you that I would like to meet Bernie someday, but I would just tell you that's what he's. Now, this crazy slide essentially says the concept which is here, that when you talk about equality and equity and justice, all right, we decided a long time ago in this country and in the world that we were going to have a market-driven healthcare system. That's what we decided, and we worship that. But when we have a market-driven healthcare system, we are not able, in that sense, to be equitable and equal. So you see this fence, the people are looking over it, they all have the equal support to get them over, supposedly, but you see that there's someone who's still not able to see over the fence. And so equity is where they get the individual support they need, and that's great, that's a good step. Equality is not equity. But you know what? What if the fence didn't exist at all? What if there was, in fact, the cause or the barrier completely disappeared? That's what we call justice. And it turns out that Theodore Parker, how many of you knew about Theodore Parker? All right, you should know about Theodore Parker. So he was a Unitarian minister, an abolitionist, a man after my own heart, a leading figure in the Transcendentalist movement. He's the one who has got that quote. Martin Luther King borrowed it from him, okay? Kudos to Martin Luther King to do that, but this is the one who said it, and I believe that is so beautiful. Now, it turns out that when we look at the U.S., we see that the more inequality we have, and we have sadly more income and wealth inequality now in the United States than any other country in human civilization. That's consequential, because when you have that level of inequality, your social problems and your health problems go through the roof. Did you know that federal poverty percentages are 12%? But if you talk about the 140 million people who are essentially poor and one emergency away from being poor that you see, that is 1 out of 2 people and households in this country. We're talking about egregious levels of resource challenges that we need to correct. So it turns out that in the United States, we have this thing called ALICE, and that's Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. It's a United Way effort. And essentially what they go into states and they find through different demographic patterns how many people have household survival budgets, which are, yes, over the federal poverty limit, but a household survival budget, for example, for an individual of 1, according to ALICE, is $30,000. For federal poverty, it's $15,000. Those are determined, by the way, not magically, they're based on minimum wage, statewide or federal. It turns out that when you look at health and healthcare and housing and childcare and transportation and food, those are the things that make up survival. So we're saying that 43% of the population in Florida doesn't have what it takes to really go beyond just survival. Now, contrast that to the slide I talked about in terms of thriving. See the gap? So as long as we meet the metrics of survival, we're not thriving. We got a long way to go. It turns out that 30 years ago, I made a decision. I had a lot of choices. I decided to go into medicine and practice in settings in public health and other areas in which I was going to focus on the vulnerable. Didn't mean that I had anything against my friends in private practice who made lots and lots of money and had lots and lots of power and position and prestige. That's great. Good for them. but this is my decision. So early on, as a med student, I was involved in something called the Judeo-Christian Coalition Clinic, and it was an interfaith organization, and it shaped the way that I was a medical student. Happened to be the first person of Indian ethnicity to ever be admitted to USF College of Medicine, so that was a bit of a barrier that was breached. But essentially, I wanted to share with you that Virchow, who said it best, that physicians really are natural advocates for the poor, and the social problems largely fall within their scope. So I didn't want to be that physician who was going to take care of just my one patient and leave it at that. I did that for a big chunk of my life, thousands of patients like Merlande, but then I went further. So let me tell you about Merlande's story now that you have the context, okay? So Merlande is a Haitian woman. She's young. She came over here as an immigrant, has a work authorization. She was married. Sadly, she was also a victim of domestic violence. And she has a 7-year-old boy. And Evans has asthma. Merlande has high blood pressure and diabetes. Doesn't have a lot of social connectivity. Has a few Haitian friends. She's on Medicaid. Medicaid because she qualifies. From her income, which is not great for a single mom, she earns about $26,000 a year, which is not a lot. Now, it puts her in that household budget survival below threshold, right? Puts her in a bad situation, and she's a hotel housekeeper. Now, it turns out that Merlande has insulin resistance, and her diabetes and her high blood pressure are actually linked because her ability to process insulin, which is a normal hormone that helps us with our glucose metabolism and much more, her cells are resistant to it. And largely, a lot of that has to do with something called fat distribution that is internal or central. So it's behind what we might consider a paunch or a belly. Now, it turns out that insulin resistance, if we could reverse it, then we would be so much ahead of the game. In fact, there's a good chance that she would be off of all of her medications for diabetes and high blood pressure, and she would reduce her risk for all those 4 horsemen down to minimal levels. And we can do this. There are tests that can determine the pre-diabetic condition when insulin is too high for the amount of glucose that we need. And I tried to look up numbers for this talk, and the data aren't great. But it generally, you could argue that perhaps from anywhere from 55 to 75% of US population has some degree of insulin resistance. And so we need to look at that. We need to find how to diagnose it and how to treat it. Now, there are pillars in lifestyle medicine which have to do with nutrition and exercise and social connectivity, sleep, stress levels, social isolation and substance abuse, and she falls flat on all of those. She lives in a food desert. She doesn't get to exercise much with her jobs. She doesn't get much sleep. It's qualitatively disturbed. She's worried all the time about her health, her bills, and Evans, and she's isolated, and she uses alcohol. What's worse, though, is that her individual choices, which could be attributed to her, she chose that lifestyle. She chooses to wear eat those things. It's not. There's a book called Lethal but Legal, which unpacks all of the industries that we interact with, all the global corporate industries in terms of food and pharma and whatnot. And it turns out that they spend billions, if not larger amounts of money to advertise and market to make sure that our desire systems are conditioned according to their attention economy. And it turns out that the default choices that they create and put in front of us are not the healthiest ones, but they're legal. As long as they're legal, they could be lethal, but that doesn't matter to the shareholders. That's just America. I'm sorry. That's just what it is. So it turns out that when you lack vital conditions like this, you are really headed for trouble. You can barely survive. You cannot thrive. And who's responsible for this? Who's responsible for improving those vital conditions that all of us need? all of us. It's not going to be the president. It's not going to be the Congress. It's not going to be our politicians and our leaders and our leaders in different sectors. It will be us. Because we have to choose them, educate them, inform them, influence them, and empower them. Now, it turns out that it's one step further. She is in Florida, and Florida has not expanded Medicaid. It's one of 10 states refusing to do that. They did that because of political challenges over the last 12 years. We know that. But it turns out that by doing it, $4 billion annually in federal funds were rejected. That doesn't seem like a very conservative thing to do, but somehow that's what we've done. Now, it turns out that we talk about social determinants of health. Daniel Dawes, he nails it. He says all of these determinants of health actually even go one step further upstream, and that's for the political ones. So our policy decisions, which are a function of our civic muscle, how strong they are or how atrophied they are, we're the answer. We're the answer. We're not the problem. We're the answer. We're the solution. So lifestyle medicine is this beautiful specialty that I happened to get board certified in a few years ago. And while I work in public health now and I work in health equity, we're starting a lifestyle medicine clinic in the public health department that I work. We're trying to do that. But these are the pillars, and this is what we're trying to influence our individuals and populations with. It turns out that Merlande, for purposes of our unity, right? She found a local UU congregation through her community health fair. And they welcomed her despite she was not, traditionally religious. She encountered community actively, and she got equity. It turns out that her healing began. The congregation helped her, but not just her, because they tried to empower her to do other things as well, as individuals, as activists, etc. And so Merlande gained a civic voice. It turns out that the early results were that health improvements occurred, her stress levels went down, Evan's asthma improved with better housing because she was able to get some relief, and she discovered a sense of purpose. Now, 18 months later, success is sustainable. Her metric for diabetes has gotten better. All 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine have been supported through her physicians and her care providers and the community, and she's found meaning. On a social level, housing and community and belonging have been sort of approached and dealt with. But you know what? The civic environment related successes are to be noted. She became a spokesperson for immigrant families. She helped pass city policies supporting immigrant health by attending things like Civic Saturday and other venues. And she developed civic muscle with your help. So she developed this from being a powerless individual to a community organizer. Now, the quote from Paul Farmer, who's a friend and late friend, but also a global health luminary who happened to work with Haitian patients, said the idea that some lives matter less is the root of all that's wrong with the world. Now, let me give you a dose of reality. There is something right now, if you haven't been watching the news, that's called the OBA. One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Now, OBA is relevant in this situation because prospectively, we're going to be thinking about Merlande when we leave here. We're going to be thinking about all the Merlandes, the people in the room, the Merlandes in the room, the Merlandes out there. We're going to be thinking. And OBA, I will tell you, to be fair, it's actually really good for some people. High-income households stand to gain thousands from the domestic policy bill. Few $1 trillion, tax cuts, those economic neoliberal policies, they're going to benefit some people. But let me just tell you something else. This is a quote from George Washington Carver, who said, "How far you go in life depends on your being tender with the young, compassionate with the aged, and sympathetic with the striving, and tolerant of the weak and strong, because someday in your life you will have been all of these." You can relate to that, right? Well, it turns out that for the next 5 slides, which are not meant to be read, but they're just supposed to be like a car accident that you're just driving past. You kind of want to look, but you really don't want to look. All right, so you can close your eyes for the rest of this if you want. Here are some of the things that are going to happen with this bill. 11 million more people will be without health insurance by 2034. A bunch of people will be knocked off of Medicaid. Lost jobs. Rural hospitals will close. Reduced access to specialty care. Medicare eligibility might change dramatically. Mental health services will be reduced, and the EPA budget will be cut by 65%. Meals on Wheels will be reduced, if not eliminated. Child Protective Services will be hit. The block grant elimination will occur. Community-based organizations for elderly and disabled might be eliminated. After-school and youth programs. 15 million children affected by SNAP. Reduced funding for water infrastructure. Educational opportunities reduced. Child welfare systems underfunded. And on and on. You get it, right? This is, by the way, not the stuff that you see on the news. Keeps going. Now, so, to Mirlande, the success might be sustainable or it could be temporary. Because you know what? If she falls into one of these groups, she might lose her Medicaid. She might lose a lot. But worse than that, because she's an immigrant, she could actually fall into this group of risks. She could be deported. She might be incarcerated. She might have a lot of things happen to her and her child. So what is the civic culture of health all about as we wrap up? I wanted to share this very important definition. American civic culture is a set of norms and values, rituals, habits, narratives that shape how we live together. And we can create, sustain, expand, and deepen, and make beautiful that culture. So human flourishing is what our civic culture should be aimed at, those 7 vital conditions. And civic health, I wish that physicians and providers would ask, well, how's your mental health? How's your emotional health? How's your physical health? How's your spiritual health? How's your sexual health? And by the way, how's your civic health? Civic health? Yeah, civic health. What's the vital signs for that? Civic health measures how effectively a community works together to promote the common good. And these are the kinds of things that we are trying to do in our Civic Saturday gatherings. There's more to this story than that, but reimagining the word citizen, little c, as a verb and reclaiming our collective power. So, have you heard of the blue zones? All right. So the blue zones are really what, in a sense, typify the marriage between lifestyle medicine, healthy living, sustainable community life, and connectedness. And these are 5 places where people like Evelyn, happy birthday. So she's the expert. She already knows this stuff. And she, in fact, knows this slide better than I do, because I'm 63. So I have 27 more years to get to that. Politics and health and love and spirituality, it's all one big mish, okay? So moving naturally, these are the centenarians, the 100-year-plus people who live in these blue zones. This is the 9 things they do. They don't have major fancy apps and, exercise gyms. They just keep moving. They move. And they have a right outlook. And they know their ikigai. They know why they're here on Earth. And they, you know what? Work less, slow down, take vacations. Wow, what a concept. Not get as motivated for this or that. They eat wisely. They eat in the 80%, 20% rule. 80% when they're full, they don't go to their max. And that stomach is full of nutrient, not dense nutrient things, but lots of vegetables and lots of fruits, which fill you up and give you low calories. More veggies, less meat, less processed food, and they drink a glass of red wine every day, all right? And they have a healthy social network. They're very much connected with faith, and they prioritize family. So, these are your principles. These are the basis of really what life is all about and the essentials of health. So never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. So I am going to close there. Thank you for letting me go over a little bit. I want to just share with you this sort of infomercial, which I'm just going to put in here. What's in it for you for Civic Saturdays? We provide a safe space. We try to connect you to community in different ways that we're coming up with. Understanding citizenship, civic faith, civic health. We want to also embark on a journey of civic literacy and health literacy at that. Deeper community engagement, and of course, developing that civic muscle. And getting a toolkit developed for people, especially the youth. And then finally, cultivating civic identity so that you don't have to get out in front of people and say, what party am I belonging to? No, I belong to the party of citizens, the little c citizen party. All right? And we have leaders, we have people who listen. So I'm going to pause there, close there for my talk, my formal comments. Any questions, answers, happy to help. I'll be around for a few minutes afterwards. Thank you for your attention.
For lunch, and they may stay a little bit. They have another engagement, but he's going to be up here and able to answer questions about the civic. I'm really looking forward to that, the Civic Saturdays. It sounds like kind of what we try to do here with social action and different things, and being in a bigger community with more ideas and more people. I think that could be a great thing. So let's contemplate that. And one more round of applause. That was wonderful. Help me extinguish the chalice. These we carry within our hearts until we are together again. And I believe we have closing music. Just as long as I have breath. Let Janet lead this one.
Please stand as you're willing and able, and get a short introduction. Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. They ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
Thank you. What a wonderful service today. I have some closing words, and then if you'll relax with our postlude, that will be wonderful. And then I think everybody knows what to do. If you're not moving tables and chairs, kind of get out of the way and let it happen. And we have a beautiful memorial garden. You could hang out there for a minute. We'll get it all turned around, and then somebody will announce when it's time to line up for food. So don't be late. My closing words are from Deborah Hafner. As we enter another week of uncertainty in the world, let us remember that there is only one side, that of humanity and planet Earth. May we pray for peace. May we raise our voices with our elected officials and engage as we can in acts of resistance. And may we remember to take very good care of ourselves, each other, and those we love. May we remember these words adapted from the Unity Prayer. The light of love surrounds us. Love enfolds us. The power of love protects us. Love watches over us. Wherever we are, love is.